Okay, so Jonathan Majors got probably the best sentence that he could possibly get under the circumstances. So, let's just get to the article. Jonathan Majors sentenced to 52-week domestic violence intervention program. Now, not saying he doesn't need that. We know at the very best this man has anger issues. So at least they're acknowledging he has issues as opposed to throwing him in jail. So, this is a good thing. Jonathan Majors was sentenced to a 52-week in-person domestic violence intervention program after being convicted of reckless assault in the third degree and harassment in December. The charges, which are a misdemeanor and a violation, carried a sentence of up to 1 year in prison. Prosecutors asked for a sentence of domestic violence programming with a 6 months jail alternative if Majors fails to complete programming. And considering his demeanor during the trial, I don't see any reason to think he won't complete it, as well as a full order of protection for Jabari. This annoys me because it's not like he's been seeking her out. He sees himself as the victim. Why would he go after her? He wants nothing to do with her. He stayed away from her during the trial. If he was truly as bad as these people claim he is, which at least the prosecutors, were fine with no jail time. But still, if he was as dangerous as they claim he is, number one, why didn't you ask for jail time? And number two, wouldn't he have tried something during the trial? I mean, we already found out that he's a bit narcissistic. So yeah, I'm not sure why the full order protection, or if it's just a procedural thing, and not that they actually think he's going to go after her, but it's just something that happens in domestic violence cases, because it's much better to have that order than to find out that you didn't put the order on to someone who actually is a threat to the victim. So, I can't be too mad at this. I just still find it a bit of a head scratcher. Okay, the 52-week sentencing is due to take place in person in Los Angeles, and the full order of protection was granted. Majors must continue with mental health counseling and therapy, which I didn't even know he was undergoing already, and provide the courts with updates on treatment, with his first compliance date on September 13th. If he is not compliant, Judge Michael Gaffey said Majors could face up to 364 days in jail on the misdemeanor. So basically, comply or we're going to sentence you to that 1 year of jail we could have given you before. Okay, fine. Majors' attorney asked for the possibility to conduct some sessions virtually, saying, "We are optimistic that Mr. Majors will work in the film industry again soon." Judge Gaffey said his attorneys can file with the court to ask for the virtual sessions if employment opportunities arise, which I hope they do, because I just think he was unfairly treated. Not necessarily just by the court, but by his own frickin' lawyers. They really tried hard to screw him over. So, now we go back into the replay of why he was convicted in the first place. Let's see. Wearing a patterned coat, black suit, and black shirt, Majors walked into the courtroom Monday with girlfriend Megan Good, who has been with him throughout the trial, and hugged and shook hands with a row of supporters, all of whom had been wearing red beanies. Majors was also carrying a red beanie and a Bible. He appeared to be reading the Bible before the sentencing began. Now, I'm not sure why a red beanie. Like I said, the optics, not good. It looks like the Black Panthers, which, under the circumstances, probably not the optics you want to portray. Reading the Bible and trying to portray yourself to be a good little Christian, that's fine. That's good for optics. But I don't know about the red beanie. Jabari was in attendance with members of her family and read a victim impact statement out loud to the court, saying that in addition to the alleged physical abuse at the center of the case, the abuse continued after the trial and would likely continue with others. Okay. Now I'm thinking that she is just making shit up. Now, granted, I think she's referring to psychological abuse because, oh, he's so famous and he's making people hate me because I brought this charge on him. He doesn't have to do shit. People who are fans of Jonathan Majors are going to hate her whether he tells them to or not. She's acting like, the only reason people hate her is because of what comes out of his mouth. People can make their own decisions. People can make their own decisions and say, he sucks, or she sucks, you both suck. Anybody can make those decisions for themselves, from following the trial, from just being fans. Hell, there's a certain political candidate who has proven that diehard fans are going to ignore anything that might remotely seem bad about them. So, no, this isn't just about, that he gave an interview which painted Jabari in a bad light, because you were painted in a bad light in the trial. And, if you're going to decide that every bad word that comes out of someone's mouth, whenever someone says mean things to you is akin to abuse, then may I suggest you live in a cave by yourself and never have contact with anyone ever. Because people are going to say mean things to you, especially if you are in the public eye. And you basically put yourself in the public eye when you started dating a public figure. Now, whether that's something that should be or shouldn't be, that's a different argument. But when you're with someone who's famous, of course you're going to potentially end up being talked about. And people are going to decide whether they like you or not. Hell, look what's going on with Princess Kate. She married into the royal family, and now people are being just absolute buttheads about, her disappearing, even though they were told when she would reappear, and nobody seemed to care. So people are irrational. People are wanting to be hateful. I do not know why they want to be hateful against someone they don't know or don't know enough about. But that's the way it is. So, what abuse? Seriously, what has he done? But that would explain about the full protection order. So what, does that mean he can't mention her at all? Which, I'm sure he's fine with at this point. He probably wants this whole thing put behind him. So, let's see what else he... Alright. So, another quote from Jabari. He's not sorry. He has not accepted responsibility, and he will do this again. He will hurt other women. This is a man who believes he's above the law. Now, I will not dispute that because he does have a narcissistic personality. I'm not going to say it's a disorder, but he is narcissistic. However, he is going through mental health counseling, which hopefully will deal with his anger management issues, which he has admitted he has. So, why are you so sure he will do this again? Yeah, he's not sorry because he doesn't think he did anything wrong. That does not mean that he does not recognize that he did some bad things and he has anger management issues. If that is resolved, why are you so sure he will do this again? I mean, if his anger management issues get resolved, he's not going to do this again. I mean, it sounds like the prosecution is being lenient on him, but at the same time throwing Jabari a bone because she's just absolutely freaking paranoid. I mean, I don't know. Does she think... I'm wondering if she's got a narcissistic personality too. Thinking that, oh my God, he's going to come back after me. What the hell? He's going through mental health counseling. He's going through it. There is no reason to think that he isn't going to... that it isn't going to help him, that it isn't going to help his anger management issues, which is what this stems from. So, why are you being hysterical? Seriously. I will not rest until I feel that he's not a danger to anyone else, she said. Sweetheart, you do realize that sounds like a threat? I will not rest until I feel he's not a danger to anyone else. I'm sorry, but who the hell are you to decide that? He's going through mental health counseling. There'll be doctors there. He has to keep the court informed. What exactly can you do that you think you are so much better than everybody else to decide whether he's a danger or not? It sounds like you've decided he is and will always be a danger. You know what that says, right? That says that the only way that you can prevent that is by killing him. Now, I'm sure that's not what she meant, but it does sound like that. And so to what I continue to say, what the hell is wrong with you? Okay, something bad happened to you in your life. Obviously, you were harmed. And I'm not going to belittle the fact that you were harmed. But that does not mean that he cannot change. It does not mean he's going to come after you. It just means that, I mean, he sat through the trial. He seems to be taking what the court says, even though he doesn't agree with the court. But he's doing... Now, if you're claiming it's just going through the motions and that it's not changing him, again, who are you to decide that? Doctors are very good at knowing when people are pretending. They've gotten very good at that. So, again, who are you to decide that? Who are you to decide that he can never get better? I mean, you've already made sure he's no longer a danger because he's getting mental health care. His current girlfriend hasn't stood up and said, oh yeah, he's already started beating me. So again, what do you want to do here? Majors did not make a statement, with his attorneys Priya Chaudhry saying that Jabari would attempt to use it against him in her civil case. That's fair. While she called this the most challenging year of Jonathan Majors' life, it feels like more than a year, and said he would abide by the sentence, Chaudhry said her client still maintains his innocence, which is normal. You rarely get people of any stripe who, even when they are found guilty, even when the evidence is overwhelming, you don't see them saying, yeah, I did it. That's not generally what happens. So I'm not sure what Grace Jabari seems to think is going to happen, that he's going to realize that he's made mistakes, that he hurt her, and he's going to break down and say, what you claimed he was saying, that he should kill himself? Seriously, what do you want from him? Mr. Majors maintains his innocence and plans to appeal his conviction, Chaudhry said. Despite the possible sentence, many legal experts do not expect Majors to face any jail time since his first conviction. However, the expectations changed after Majors gave an interview on Good Morning America in early January, ahead of sentencing, in which he expressed shock over the verdict and maintained his innocence. At the time, GMA aired a statement from the prosecutors saying that Major's statements in the interview showed a clear lack of remorse, which was also reiterated Monday. Yes, we know that he's made dumb mistakes like this interview before sentencing, because, I don't know what he thought he was doing. And he has admitted to making mistakes. Now, he claims he never hurt her, he just hurt inanimate objects. But at the same time, so I see why they're concerned, but was he already undergoing mental health counseling back then? It's possible he didn't. It's possible now that he's had more time to reflect and more counseling sessions that he's more understanding of why what happened was wrong, the way other people see him. I mean, a lot has happened since that interview. So to say that interview is proof that he doesn't show remorse and could never show remorse ever about anybody, that's asking a bit much. I mean, obviously he shows some remorse. It would be nice if he actually showed remorse about the pain she was having. But at least he acknowledged she has anger management issues, so maybe, baby steps, he realizes anger management issues, then he'll understand why what he did was wrong towards Grace, and on and on and on. This idea that he's somehow incapable. I mean, maybe he isn't. Maybe he's so narcissistic he's incapable. But he's shown at that interview that he's capable of understanding. He has anger issues. That's been decided. Anyway. Majors was originally scheduled to be sentenced February 6th, but we don't have to go through that. Alright. So, here we go. Majors also faces a civil suit filed by Jabari in which he brings claims of assault and battery with allegations of physical violence that date back to 2022, as well as defamation related to his statements in the press after the trial. Now, I don't know enough about defamation law to say anything, but I think she's definitely going to win the civil trial, because there's definitely something there. Even if what he was convicted of was not something that I would consider as criminal, he definitely has a history. And that should definitely be taken into account. And so I think that the civil trial, that she'll win the civil trial. Now, does that mean that he's incapable of learning from his mistakes? Maybe, maybe not. Maybe the mental health counseling will help. Or maybe he's just going through the motions and not going to change a damn bit. That the second he's done with it, he'll just go back to same old, same old. That's possible. Or maybe the counseling will be good for him. And he'll realize that, oh, that's possible too. And I feel like I'm just repeating myself at this point. Ross Kramer, who represented Jabari after she was arrested during the course of the trial, which he called retaliation by Majors, called the verdict a serious sentence, which he said was appropriate for the crime. So apparently the only person who's still freaking out is Jabari. Now again, I understand that domestic violence victims have a reason to fear their assaulter. However, he's shown, except for retaliation by, bad-mouthing her in the media, which this is a case that's being followed in the media. What did you think was going to happen? He does not have to say mean things to you. Other people can do that. We're living in a world of social media. People can make their own opinions. And people can say, yes, Jonathan Majors sucks, you suck as well. That's perfectly fine. And guess what? It has nothing to do with liking Jonathan Majors. What Grace Jabari did over the past year was incredibly brave and important. She overcame every obstacle put in her path to give honest, emotional, public testimony in a court very far from her home. Okay, now granted, domestic violence victims who come forward are brave. Not going to say they're not. But what obstacles were exactly put in her place here? I mean, they said from the very beginning that the police were falling over themselves to believe her. So, what obstacles were put in her path? I mean, yeah, I'm sure there were people who said mean things about her on social media or whatever. But, again, what was she expected? I mean, domestic violence victims, at the best of times, are not going to be believed. And will be, then their reputation dragged through the mud. But this is not what happened here. I mean, yes, there was some of that. But it's not like it was Majors who was dragging her through the mud. He just gave his version of events. Now, you could say that he lives in La La Land and just was so angry that he didn't realize that what he thought was an inanimate object was actually her. You could say that. But he didn't, except for, unless by obstacles you mean that he was defending himself in court and in media. But there was no obstacle to justice. What obstacles? I mean, as far as I can tell, she was treated quite well. Usually domestic violence victims have to beg the court system and the law enforcement officers to believe that. So, Grace demonstrated that justice can be served in cases like this. Again, I'm not sure about her being, that the reason Jonathan Majors was found guilty was correct. That he is an abuser, yeah. I just don't think he was in this instance. Let's see, where was I? Hopefully her example will empower other survivors to break their silence and hold their abusers accountable, which is laudable. And I understand that domestic violence abusers, abuse victims, fear retaliation from their abusers. But what has Majors done that remotely gave you the idea that he is going to retaliate? Possibly in the media, but not physically. And he's already been doing that. And your name is in the media, so he doesn't have to say shit. But anyway, that is what I have. So, I don't think they're going to follow his treatment, and I have no intention of following it either, because either he learns his lesson or he won't. One of the two. So hopefully, unless something else majorly happens, like they follow the civil suit or something, this should be my last video on the subject, because I am so tired of this. I want it to go away. So anyway, with that, I will see you guys in the next video.